Okay, so this is some background on the California Institute for Innovation and Development, which is fundamentally entrepreneurship. The center has been around for about 9 years, and Karen has been with it and a leader in it for actually substantially longer than I have. But I joined about 2 months ago, and I'm very excited about both the work the center has done and where we would like to take it. This is the team. You see Karen and myself. Vish is the faculty director. Was one of the original faculty with the Rady School. Diana is a key team member, as well as Kim King. She runs our StartR programs, and I'll explain what those are in a bit. We are ranked number 6 in entrepreneurship. By other rankings, actually, that are more recent than this, we actually are even higher, ranked number 3 by other ranking metrics. So you'll be joining a very well-regarded program when it comes to entrepreneurship. I look at entrepreneurship and I think the entire Rady community, and frankly, the entire campus community, as certainly around startups. But there's also new product development. There's the idea that entrepreneurship is really more a mindset that will serve any student anywhere. So if you don't see yourself as a founder, that doesn't mean you don't want to get involved. You do want to get involved. You do want to understand the entrepreneurial mindset and engage as much as you can around our content and around our community, because it will serve you whether you go into a nonprofit, into government, or an existing organization. And that leads me to the third bullet here around social enterprise. And it says third, what's missing, the word that's missing there is third sector. We have a center also dedicated to social impact, and there's a lot of overlap between entrepreneurship and social impact. I apologize for that typo. I put in quotes the Rady Entrepreneurship Center. There is a new name coming, which is a lot easier to understand and recognize. This is a list of some of the programs that we offer. I'll go into detail around some of these, but there is a host of ways you can get involved. You can be sort of in and out, get your toes wet, get your ankle wet, or you can dig really deeply into the challenges and accelerators. So depending on your appetite and interest, we can take you from again, sort of your toes all the way up to your neck, depending on your level of interest. Some statistics on the programs, particularly the StartR Rady, which is one StartR, one of several StartRs. Some very impressive numbers, considering that the StartR program has not really been around for all that long. So something to hopefully whet your appetite, and maybe you want to add to these statistics yourself as founders if that's a road you want to go down. This is a description, or at least the logos for various StartRs. We've historically gone down 2 paths, either by the background of a student. So for example, StartR Veteran, StartR Inclusion, StartR Teen really focus on the background of the individuals that are eligible for these programs. StartR Rady is open to any Rady graduate, any Rady student. StartR Impact is open also to any student, alumni for that matter, and focuses on environmental and other sort of impactful ventures and ideas. So you can participate in any one of these, or actually you can participate in multiples. It is a competitive process to be included, but we want to support your success. So even if you don't make it into one round or into one StartR and you're interested still, I'm here to help you coach you so that you will be successful in a subsequent application. These are range from 7 to 12 sessions, depending on the particular accelerator, usually evenings, but sometimes during the day. These are not credit. These are in addition to the other coursework that you will be taking, but they do complement the coursework. The Rady Venture Fund is a privately supported pool of funds, which is, I think, on the order now of somewhere of, Karen, what is it, 200,000? Maybe not quite that much, but roughly that. Anyway, these are funds that donors have made available to you to essentially invest in startups. It's done through 2 courses that the previous director will probably be teaching this year, and I'll be teaching next year. 7 investments have been made to date, but this is a hands-on way for you to understand venture capital, seed and venture capital investing, and actually cut checks to startups yourselves. So it's the real deal. It's real money, and the funds come back and are reinvested should those startups be successful into this, so that we can continue supporting this experiential opportunity for the students. A couple competitions, the Border Innovation Challenge, which is going to be growing, is a collaborative effort across a number of universities that look at issues around the border between US and Mexico. We are going to expand sort of the problem sets that you can address to include logistics, moving people and goods across the border, to health issues, environmental issues, and supply chain issues. The Triton Innovation Challenge, both of these, by the way, have prize monies and award funds. We hope to increase the funding available for post-program support, so that if your idea has legs and you can make a case for prototyping funds or early stage needs, then we will also hopefully have funds available for you to carry your idea further. There's a lot of mentorship in everything we do, including the starters, but these programs as well. So the Triton Innovation Challenge is focused on environmental problems. So these are 2 challenges that, and we may, yeah, I'm not sure if we'll be expanding the challenges or not, but these are 2 great opportunities for you to dive in also on entrepreneurial opportunities. The DRIVE program is one branch of a growing mentorship program that we have. I firmly believe, and Christina and Karen are going to get really tired of me saying this, the external networks that we bring to bear in terms of sort of putting their arms around you as students interested in venture creation is critical. I think it's absolutely essential that we bring as many different people in who have different perspectives that are willing to talk to and wanting to encourage student exploration of venture creation. DRIVE is one such program, more than 40 mentors. Karen has been the leader in bringing this together, and companies in various stages of formation are invited to present in front of a panel. It can range from anywhere from 8 to 15, sometimes more mentors, and you'll get feedback real time during that session. And then oftentimes matches will be made with mentors who want to, and assuming of course that you want them to, continue to support you as you evolve your idea. The Rady Idea Challenge is a fund that we have available for very early stage ideas, identifying a process, a problem, assessing markets, proposing solutions, that kind of thing. Usually announced in January. Funds are available on a competitive basis and released sometime, usually late winter or spring. These are not big dollar awards, but it's enough funding for you to do some competitive analysis and other sorts of assessments that you might want. It's a way, again, to sort of get your toes wet in the venture creation world. So this is us. That you saw earlier, a general email for seed. This is my email. We are available to you anytime. We're actually quite lonely up here on the 5th floor. We've got a fantastic office space. I do hope you will come in and take advantage of us when you become Rady students, because I know this is where you're going to want to go. We have mentorship and resources available to you that I think are truly unlike other institutions. So if you have any questions, I know it's quick and dirty. Karen and I are available to field any questions you might have. Are you guys really that shy? No. Christina, you're muted.
Thanks. I've done this so many times that I'm still making that mistake. Shira, would you like to ask your question?
Sure. Hi.
Hi.
I'm Shira. Nice to meet you guys. Thank you for the presentation. I'm actually very interested in entrepreneurship. So it's really great to see what Rady has to offer. So my question is, how do we protect our ideas if we're sharing them in challenges?
It's a good question. Generally, it's a concern that's overrated. If your idea is, I've been doing this a long time. No one has ever had their idea stolen, ever. In my experience, it's not to say that it hasn't happened, but in my experience, if your idea is solid, most people are not interested in stealing your idea. Most people are interested in helping you. But if it is of concern, then I'm happy to talk about it with you, and we can find ways to sort of skirt around the sort of key secret sauce that you might have. But that concern is generally overstated. So I encourage you to come talk to me about it. I'm not suggesting that it isn't legitimate, but I wouldn't worry too much about it.
That's good to know. Thank you.
I just add my experience with all of our business plan competitions is one of the things that our mentors guide us on, and that we guide all of the student participants on is, for the most part, what the judges are looking for is to hear about your idea and how you're going to execute it. They don't need the hard details. They don't need the science behind it. They don't need your patented idea. They just want to hear what you're going to do. If they ask questions that are, too diving a little bit too deep, you just say, I'd be happy to talk to you about it offline, and you're never marked down for that. So,
and there's a general sort of, quip that if you have a good idea, the chances are other people have a very similar idea. If it's that good, you're probably not the only one that has it. I know it sounds a little, so it's a matter of passion and
burst our bubbles. Bursting our bubbles there, Tim.
I know, but it doesn't mean you can't execute and beat them to the market.
Yeah, it's all about winning. Yeah, that is true. All right, thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you for your question, Shira. Daniel, do you have a question? You're the second one to raise your hand.
Yes, I do. Thank you for your time tonight. And I think I'm going to be coming in with a pretty unique idea, something that I'll be sharing on my Rady application. But my question is about the growing this idea and growing this venture. I've seen incubators, and I'm thinking that maybe an incubator is where this idea could thrive rather than an accelerator. And you mentioned a couple of the programs. Where would an idea that's in the early stages fit within Rady?
It depends on the idea and the stage. We can either coach you and bring in a sort of a customized set of advisors to help shepherd you along in let's call that a more intimate mentoring kind of model. And or we can run you through, if you qualify, and let's assume you do, run you through the accelerator as part of the exercise. You don't have to go that route. There is some space and some offerings on campus. We don't have them extensively in Rady in terms of space for you, but we do have great relationships with incubators throughout San Diego. Karen, do you have anything else to suggest or offer?
I would just add, in addition, obviously we have wonderful programs at Rady, and they're our favorites, but there are other great programs on campus to really help get you started. There's an I-Corps program. There's a program called The Basement, which is really open to students at any level, and all sorts of other programming on campus that can help you. And honestly, our programs are very early stage ideas too, and it's on where you fit in with the program and what we're offering.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Steve, you've had your hand up for a while. Thank you for being patient.
Thanks. I must have accidentally unraised my hand.
That was me.
Okay.
Did it. Sorry.
So my question is about intrapreneurship, and if you could speak a little more to what your definition of that is and how the different programs you outlined can support that type of interest?
Sure. Technically, entrepreneurship is fundamentally about launching new products, new ideas in existing organizations. So it's not a new venture, but it's within an existing organization. I think one of the greatest examples of failure to innovate and continue to evolve is Eastman Kodak, right? They sat on their laurels. They did not evolve. The best story is probably Apple. Without the iPhone, would Apple be the same company? They evolved from a computer company to a phone company. Yes, there's a gray area between the two, but Apple's probably one of the greatest examples of intrapreneurship. We have very strong expertise among our faculty and our mentors and our advisors around design, new product development. There's coursework that focuses on this. There are a new building that's coming online next week called the Design and Innovation Building that will have maker spaces and a host of mentorship opportunities, co-curricular as well as curricular offerings from Rady as well as other parts of campus. So we want to recognize that what you might consider as entrepreneurship, again, the default is to venture creation, but it is equally as important in just about any organization. Frankly, it's equally important to your own career. Intel's motto, Intel Inside. Well, we sort of all have entrepreneur inside, right? How do you want to evolve your own career? How do you want to evolve and contribute to an existing organization in terms of new product development, identifying new markets? How do you look at identifying even the problems that need solving and those that are worthwhile pursuing and not? We are experts across our both curricular and co-curricular opportunities and offerings in that. I don't see much of in fact, very little separation, if any, between entrepreneurship and intrapreneurship.
Thank you very much.
I just met with the fellow who was the lead guy responsible for the development of the iPod. He was here speaking on campus to our undergraduate course. We bring in people of that sort for you to be able to interact with and network as well.
Thank you. I have one very patient person. Jose, thank you for waiting.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Jose Soria. I'm in the neuroscience department. I was wondering, I had a question about the, practically speaking, I was looking at the Rady Venture Fund opportunity and the venture capital management courses that are available for people that have already formed companies where there's a corporate structure, their employees and their levels of management, but the business model has not been completed, so that is still in somewhat a startup process. I'm wondering what kind of opportunities would be available for someone at that stage, kind of looking to understand venture capital, moving through venture capital funding cycles and understanding how much of the company can be lost to ownership and to venture capital. Those sorts of questions I'm wondering.
That's a big part of what that course focuses on. However, I know that there are other programs on campus or co-curricular in nature that will provide that kind of content as well. I am very focused on building more of that. The same fellow that I mentioned that I met with today, who was key in rolling out the iPod, is now a venture capitalist. And he is pre-seed funding, which is very unusual, actually. It's the earliest you'll get of what they call institutional funding. And we will be developing, let me describe it this way, using the metaphor of martial arts, what I would call white belt, green belt, and black belt level of content. So white belt is sort of, what are the fundamentals? Again, sort of that toe getting wet kind of idea. Green belt would be deeper dives, 2-3 hours, maybe even 2 or 3 days worth of boot camp kind of opportunities for you dig in and really understand and be able to do, for example, a capitalization chart from scratch and throw various scenarios at you around stages and levels of subsequent investment, what that does to your dilution and that kind of thing. To black belt, which is, we're going to run you through StartR and put you into one of the challenges. And by the time you come out of that, you'll be in a pretty good state to understand future direction and hopefully be able to position you for one of our community external incubators, where they will again take you even beyond what we can provide. And that's why we have these partnerships, to see you through, all the way from the nest, to make sure that when you're able to fly, to make you able to fly right into the arms of others that can launch you even further. So I'm not sure if I really answered your question, Jose, but there's content both in courses and in co-curricular opportunities. And investment is one that I'm particularly interested in. Design and product design is another, but there's a whole host of opportunities in terms of, again, sort of white belt, green belt, black belt levels of content.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Jose.
Oh no, just going to say, no, that does answer the question. In a logistical manner, I'm wondering some of the, like, how to get started. It will be in the form of a course initially, or I'm wondering, it's similar to like the weekend or evening flex program. I don't know. I don't have a good sense of how things get started there.
Well, in terms of sort of, you want to get your arms around this content and understand investing a little bit further, for example, I'd like to be able to offer it such that you can do that in a matter of a couple hours, or you can do that through in addition to, you can take advantage of it in terms of a full quarter-long course, depending on what your appetite is for it, right? So I want to be able to provide various levels depending on your interest in depth, around the content. So if it's surface level, just general introductions to the concept, we'll have that for you. If you want to dive very deeply, we'll have that for you as well. And again, varying channels by which you can get that information and content.
Thank you.
I'd like to add, just so Jose, the first year of mostly all MBA programs, you have what's called the core curriculum that's required. And so the detailed classes that Tim is talking about would not be available to you until your second year. But when you are in that second year, the class load is almost entirely elective. So you'll have a choice of numerous classes that would fit that bill. I just want to be clear that I wouldn't certainly wait until your second year to get involved with this newly named awesome institution we have with us. But I just want you to be aware that that is kind of how it functions. But with that said, there's nothing stopping you from, again, going full blown and work with Tim's organization and spend hours. And I do have another question, and then I have some questions that I want to ask that hopefully will illuminate some others. So thank you, Jose. Shira, I know you have another question. Thank you for your patience.
Hello again. So my question is about the environment among the entrepreneurship community at Rady. Like what's sort of the feel? What are the students like? What's the community like?
Karen, do you want to take that one? I could add something, but Karen knows more about it than I do, frankly.
Sure. To be honest, it varies a little bit from year to year and cohort to cohort. Generally, as students, especially the first year, as Christina was speaking about, you'll primarily spend most of your time with your cohort, especially the first quarter. You're welcome to participate in our programs, but it can be quite difficult with your class load. So just something to keep in mind there. Once you're involved in our programs, we have a super supportive entrepreneurial community. The students all work together. They support each other, even if they're working in completely different fields. There's also the opportunity to connect with programs from across campus. So all of the entrepreneurs from across campus typically get to know each other. You kind of run in the same circles through the same programs, attend the same events. So it's a great opportunity really to connect both with your fellow students and with the greater entrepreneurial community in the San Diego area and certainly on the UC San Diego campus. And one great resource too that really hasn't been mentioned yet is the Office of Innovation and Commercialization, which the innovation portion is now being housed over at the new Design and Innovation building. And they put on great programs that can help you get started. They run an investment prep program. So if you're at the stage where you're ready to start preparing your slide deck, where they have entrepreneurs who really walk you through stage by stage. We have entrepreneur in residence programs that are campus wide. So it's a great opportunity to meet with people from diverse backgrounds who really are happy just to talk to you. They're happy to work with you closer. So there's really just great programs. And as you get more and more involved in the programs, you'll meet the other students. Again, the students tend to all work together and help each other. They hang out a lot. They really have a good time together. So it's a really warm, welcoming community. We try to make it as, obviously there's some competitiveness to entrepreneurship, but we try to make it more of a community than a deep throat, slash your tires type thing.
That's good. That's so scary.
Thank you.
Let me give you one example. We have more mentors out there wanting to help than we have than we have content and students to send to them. They really are anxious to bring you along. Well, one interesting example is I was talking to two different companies in the same StartR accelerator, and one was very early. And I said, how does it feel to be in the same accelerator with more advanced companies? And their reflection back was really critical for me to understand the value. And they said, look, those more advanced companies are helping us. They are not, they are in the way that starters are structured. They're providing advice to us and have perspectives that we have yet to sort of come to, and they are holding our hands through this. So that's the kind of community that you're going to be a part of.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of sentiment of just how we are very happy to hear that. And I'm not surprised whatsoever, because that is what we really want for our students. And that's what we encourage. And quite honestly, there are we really don't shine, highly on those that are not collaborative. We definitely want that. That's how things are done, obviously, in any organization. And more than one mind approaching a problem usually results in a better outcome. But I had a couple. I don't see any more questions. Oh, wait, we do. Jose, do you still have a question, or is your hand just still up there?
I have to take it down.
Okay. Okay.
Daniel had one.
Daniel has one. Please.
Yes, thank you again. So diving a little deeper into the student collaboration, do you find it that most students work by themselves on their ventures, or do you find it that students will say, hey, I like what Jose is doing. Can I join you? Right. What is your sense? And I'm sure it changes every year, as you've mentioned, but can you talk a little bit more about what you've seen?
I think Karen's best suited to answer that. I'll just say that it's mostly team focused in some fashion. In my experience doing this for years, the more interdisciplinary, and frankly, it's the interdisciplinary teams that have the most success. Somebody from engineering working with somebody from business, somebody from social sciences. Those perspectives are critical. But my experience here, what I've seen in the limited time, is it's very much team oriented. It doesn't mean you can't have a solo entrepreneur go for it and be successful. But Karen, what do you think?
Yeah, we do certainly see some solopreneurs. A lot of what we see is folks meeting at their first couple days of orientation, talking to their fellow cohort mates and teaming up to work together. We see that time and time again. The other thing that we do is, if you are somebody who's just starting to work on an idea, maybe it's something you just kind of throw around, but you want that perspective. Engineering students from students down at the Scripps Institution for Oceanography, that kind of thing, especially when we get around our competition time periods, is we do mixers and invite folks from across campus to come to hear what everyone's working on and to potentially pair up. We don't force anyone on anybody, but it's just a great opportunity to meet people from across campus. And again, attending some of the events across campus, particularly the entrepreneurial event, there are always students from different areas who are looking to work with others, who want to meet other folks, and really pair up, because again, as Tim said, those interdisciplinary teams really are the most successful. And I would also say too that my little plug for programs like our inclusion team is teams with a woman in a leadership position as well, as part of the balance, tend to do much better as well.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that.
Sorry, guys.
Okay. No one's laughing. Come on. It's supposed to be fun. So, Tim, I had a question, and I'm wondering, perhaps maybe it's on other people's minds, but and Jose kind of alluded to this, but how exactly, let's say you have a first-year student coming in, they get their feet under them in that first quarter, but they don't really want to wait until the following year to do something. So what, do they apply to one of the StartRs? Let's say we're going to do StartR. They apply, let's say they're accepted. What exactly happens? What is asked of them? What is their time commitment? And, is there a limit to the number that they can participate in? That's kind of, how does it work together? And obviously in the second year, my guess is that because every MBA student will be taking part in the Lab to Market series of classes, that that particular project would be something that would enter your purview as part of another accelerator program. I mean, as to be a subject for one of the accelerators.
Yeah, the Lab to Market relationship with the center is growing substantially. But to your question about commitment, and Karen, please augment whatever I say here, particularly if I'm wrong. The StartRs typically are about 7, they range, but there's about 7 to 8 sessions. You submit a fairly straightforward and brief application that's, let's call it the equivalent of 2 pages, something of that order, based on this preset of a set of questions. A few folks, including myself, will review and judge that. Karen, of course, also, as well as the lead instructor. Your commitment then is to what are typically hour and a half to 2 hour sessions. Karen, is it once a week for 7 to 8 weeks?
It's about every other week. So you'll go every week for a few weeks, and then there'll be breaks in between. And I think the importance to throw in here of having a team is the entire team does not have to attend every session, but one representative from the team has to. So it kind of breaks up the workload. There are deliverables for each session. So maybe working on your business model canvas, maybe going out and doing customer interviews. So I would plan on an hour to 2 hours a week to at least spend on this at a minimum. Obviously, the more time you put in, the more you get out. And I do also just want to say that Start Blue is a little bit different program. It's a program that takes place over an 8-month period and runs from October through May. We go every week in the fall, and then every other week in the winter and spring. And it's, again, a little bit different program. And if anyone wants to hear more about that or speak more about that, I'd be happy to talk to you separately as well.
And then at the end, you'll be prepared on everything from customer discovery, the business model canvas, to the financials, to presenting your organization, your company and opportunity. There's a demo day usually at the end of the StartRs where certain teams are selected to present to a more public audience. So your commitment is like a lot of things. It's what you put into it. It's a minimum of attending the sessions, but really to get anything out of the sessions, you got to do some work in between because there's typically some homework. The challenges are a bit different. You submit on a competitive basis also for the challenges. And there's typically some training involved in that is offered to you. The requirement on that training, Karen, you'd have to bring me up to speed on that.
Yeah, it's optional. Most people find it beneficial, but it's certainly optional if your time doesn't allow.
You'll have a hard time placing well in a competition if you don't take part in that training. But that's probably, ranges from 3 to 5, 6 hours of training over a period of time before you say go into the semifinals and then the finals.
Okay, so just to be clear, a challenge is essentially a case competition of sorts, but
Yes.
the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what you're saying is that once accepted into the challenge, it behooves pretty much everybody to take advantage of the training, because that would obviously allow you to present a better final product. Okay, and you know, I read somewhere that occasionally there's some funding involved for some of the winners. Can you speak about that, and also about any visibility outside of UCSD that either participants in an accelerator and or one of these challenges can, you know, may have the chance to experience?
There is award money for both the Border Innovation Challenge and the Triton Innovation Challenge. The Border being, as I talked about, border kind of related issues, Triton being more environmental. So there is award money. I'm wanting to, we don't have it yet, but I'm wanting to have post-program support money so that if, again, prototyping, go over to the design innovation building, customer discovery, competitive analysis, you need to have, you want to incorporate, and you need to have funding to support, to pay the attorneys. By the way, we have attorneys giving a lot of their services to us pro bono. So yes, there is prize money. Christina, I forgot the second part of your question. You're muted.
Sorry. So I get the second part of my question was really what sort of visibility, you know, if there's a winner or there's some very, very, you know, very refined positive projects, you know, can one expect to meet VCs, or are these mentors looking for ideas? I mean, are they VCs? That's
great question. Yeah, and let me emphasize first that I'm a believer that just because you may not win or place doesn't mean that your idea isn't still worth pursuing. It just may not be at a stage where you qualified for that particular moment. So we are here to support you. We may have to give you some bad news and suggest, you know, maybe you need to fold that one up and look at something else. But I do not believe that because you don't win doesn't mean you don't still have a good opportunity in front of you. Visibility is, you know, Karen has developed a great network of mentors, investors, advisors that can take you, and we will facilitate this, take you whatever that next step might be depending on your stage. It could be all the way through to, as I mentioned, one of our local incubators. We are trying to grow the visibility and grow that network, but we are meeting angel investors, venture capital investors every day who want access to what you probably have heard the term deal flow. But it's a lot of work to get there. You have to be sort of worthy of these introductions, but they're there, and we want you to be successful. So we're going to do our best to prepare you for those introductions.
I would just add specifically for our competitions, especially even our demo day for StartR, is our invitation list is quite wide and really encompasses most of the San Diego entrepreneurial community. The experience at our competitions has been vast. Many of the teams that have gone on to succeed the most have not been the winners. We've had teams show up, present, and find a new CEO because of somebody they connected with at the competitions. So, you know, judges make their decision. We don't always agree with them. So doesn't mean if you don't win, doesn't mean a darn thing really in the long run, except you don't get the big prize money. So again, competing is great. It's a great opportunity to get out there and network. We have receptions before all of our events. It's an opportunity to speak with some of those folks face to face, and people who are interested in what you're doing will always stick around afterwards to speak to you as well. So great opportunities to network with the community. And if you don't meet the right person, or you may more likely to meet somebody who knows somebody who is the right person to connect you with. So just great networking opportunities that have proven to be extremely successful.
Thank you both. I wanted to briefly say that if they originally marketed this as being a 45-minute session, if any of you need to leave, please feel free. I know we have a couple questions left, but I wanted to let you know that that's totally acceptable. If you'd like to stay, I think we do have a few more questions. If you'd like the benefit of hearing those answers. And Jose, looks like you have another question.
Oh, yes, thank you. I wanted to follow up on there was a mention of help with corporate structure and meeting with lawyers that are working pro bono in the university. So after having an idea, developing the idea, having some initial funding, an initial corporate structure, I'm wondering exactly about, so restructuring the company, understanding a little bit of the corporate law, maybe even a little bit of tax law, and that I'm wondering, you mentioned that, but I'm wondering how much of that is available as well.
In droves. We have attorneys falling over themselves to help you. It's in their interest. I mean, let's be realistic. They want a client eventually, right? But in the meantime, they recognize you don't have the resources to pay them. So they're here to give you, we'll have office hours. The Design Innovation Building will have office hours with investors and attorneys and service providers. We have direct lines I could connect you with any number of attorneys right now who'd be willing to just sit with you and provide you advice. My approach is to introduce you to more than one, introduce you ideally to 3 at least, because they are all going to be equally knowledgeable, but chemistry does matter. So you may feel better about one than another. So, and well, not so much for attorneys as for mentors. Sometimes mentors will give you conflicting advice. Attorneys typically not, right? The law is the law. But that conflicting advice piece is actually usually very, very important and helpful. If you have 2 experts in a market that give you conflicting advice, that's something that's really important to understand it to know. But that's beyond your question. The service provider side of our offerings they're almost endless. Now, they can't give away everything for free. When it comes to incorporation, we do have agreements with a couple firms that will do that at cost, rather than their markup. I'm going to hopefully work on a few that will do it for free, but that will be readily available for you.
Thank you, and I'm assuming that includes fragmentation, so not just incorporating, but fragmenting a company and doing all the very fancy things and so forth.
They can advise you and give you some suggestions as to what that looks like and what to watch out for. The more involved and complex you actually work, the more complex your requirements, there they may start, the meters might start running in terms of what you have to pay them to actually execute. Mm-hmm. But in terms of their just general advice, that typically comes at no cost.
Thank you.
Carlos, hi, thanks for your patience.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, so I have one question. So at the MBA program, do the teachers teach you how to create a business from scratch? Or is it more like developing an already existing business?
So I'll use that. I'm sorry, Christina, go ahead.
Go ahead, no, go for it.
I'll use Lab to Market as an example. You can come to Lab to Market with an idea. They will want you to team up with others in the class, so you can work on an idea that you have. Or Amy, who's the lead instructor for Lab to Market, is sourcing ideas from companies frankly, around the country. She just got Amazon Web Services, AWS, providing a problem, and then she matches that problem with a set of students who want to sort of dig into that. So you can either come with your own, or we'll provide you one, essentially. Now that's for Lab to Market.
Okay. I'm going to expand on that. So the Lab to Market concept really is to teach. So even if you didn't have an idea, you will learn how to vet that idea. So before you would, before it becomes like a legitimate, okay, I'm going to go for it, there's a tremendous amount of work that needs to be done up front. And that is usually where entrepreneurs miss a step. And that's why they're not necessarily successful. So what you would learn in that process is how to appropriately apply all of the steps of due diligence necessary to arrive at a position, the end of the sequence of courses, to know whether that idea is feasible. Now, when I mean feasible, it's actually worth investing and worth pursuing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. So, would I get like marketing, or in customer discovery techniques, digital marketing, all the financial, entrepreneurial part, everything that you need to know to start any business, not a particular idea, just to have like the notion of how to start any business from scratch. That is my question.
I'd say
Go ahead.
I'd say yes, those fundamentals will absolutely be there. The first question you have to ask when you start a business is what problem you're solving.
Of course.
Often there's an interesting, cool technology and it's chasing a market. It doesn't know what problem it's solving. Okay. It's just a cool technology. That can work, but it's not the optimal way to go. The optimal way to go is find some pain.
Exactly. Solve that.
And then develop the solution to relieve that pain. And I think what Christina was referring to before is that's step one, but that doesn't mean it's viable necessarily. You have to look at a whole host of factors, from competition to financials to supply chain to evaluate whether or not that's actually investable. But right. Fundamentals of what you're talking about, incorporation and the marketing, yes, that's all available to you.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
And if it's not available to you, come to me and say, look, I need to know this stuff. I want to know this stuff. If there is some gap that you're seeing, come and we'll talk about it and find a way to fill it.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
And you mentioned, I think if no one has any more questions, I think we're a little bit past our time. So I would like to thank you all for coming. I am infinitely excited to be working with Tim and Karen and to, be able to present this, presentation for you. And also to, I'm the new here as well. So it's really exciting for me to understand the amazing resources that are available to you. And, Tim and Karen are available, as they provided their email addresses to you. They're available to chat at any time. They welcome your input. They welcome your contacting them. So thank you so very much. If you have any questions about the MBA program, you know where to find me. I think I probably sent you an email. So
we'll see you in fall.
There we go. Yeah. Thank you very much. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thanks, Christina.
Bye. Oh, wait. Everyone that attended will receive a fee waiver, the application fee waiver, if you choose to apply that. And what I did throughout is I took attendance. So when you apply, if you do, you will not need to pay the $200 application fee. If it is not automatically waived, just please let me know and I'll go ahead and do it for you. Okay. Thank you.